Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 29 of our Exploring the CVerse series in TEW 2020. This is CWW Championship Wrestling from Wigan, and yes, again, we're almost actually close to completing this series. So if you're just checking it out for the first time, check out the 28 other episodes we've done to this point, looking at the starting companies in the CVerse in TEW 2020, and as you'll see, there are not many that fall in the range of CWW, which is unique in that as we look at this company, it is considered insignificant, and it is the only company in the starting CVerse that has that label, that has not even made it to tiny size yet. So that is where CWW stands, 34th in the world, as we can quickly look at here. The only other company that ranks below them at the moment is Zen, who we've already covered, but Zen has a lot more, I think, going for it in terms of where it's at, and it has kind of a unique spin on things, and Zen's kind of a long-term, company in the CVerse, so a lot more history involved. So CWW, in a sense, is pretty much the, you want to say the worst starting company in the game, you could say that, but probably has the least going for it. It's probably the best way to put it in terms of where it's at. But this is what we're looking at, a company with $10,000 and only has 6% prestige, 10% momentum. That's not very high. Like we said, insignificant is the current size. Doesn't get any smaller than that. So, you've got to try to make the jump to tiny, which you got to get to 17 in Northern England. You're 12 right now, so you can certainly make that jump pretty quickly if you put on a couple good shows probably. So probably won't take that long. And a couple, that may be putting it lightly. But again, you've only got to get 5 points to get to tiny. So you can move out of that insignificant range. Again, the only company that starts with that to start the CVerse. All right, let's look at the background here. Founded in 2018, so this is the first version of TEW that this company has been in. Curtis Jenkins, kind of pushing an old school style of wrestling, kind of going back to the early days in Britain, where again, like the submissions are excruciating. So a pure sport is kind of what this is, and as you can see, it's sort of the stance of being opposite of 21CW, which is doing really well for itself right now as sports entertainment, but this is a company that tries to go the complete opposite way. And so, yes, I think there will be a limit on that in terms of what you can do with it, but it is completely different. So if it's something you want to do, you can embrace that. And it is worth noting, again, this is pretty much as close as it gets to being starting from 0, right? Like starting from scratch everywhere. If you're wanting to pick a company to do that with, this is probably as close as it gets in terms of starting, CVerse. If you don't want to just start your own company, anything like that, this probably is, again, as close as it gets, just based on the size, the money available, only $10,000, not a lot of money. And like we said, really, Zen ranks lower, but I would put Zen higher just in terms of the playability to start with. So this is, probably the biggest challenge, I would say, from the starting spot in the CVerse. So if you want to say, hey, I want to go with the toughest, perhaps, company to play with to start with, this may be it, just in terms of where things stand if you're just looking at the numbers. So, all right, let's look at the product real quick. Again, as we said, it's pretty much wrestling, pure sport wrestling here, so competitive wrestling, all about matches, not about anything else, really, and that's what it comes down to. No face-heel divide. Here, events, 100% matches, again, you've got that 15% wiggle room on that, but this is not going to be a very angle-heavy promotion by any means. And again, as you'll see here down the way, angle's got to be short. So, you're always kind of looking at the matches. Intense style from a physical standpoint because of, the pure sport aspect. So, that could lead to injuries and all that things, which, we've looked at with other promotions that have a similar style. You have to have the notes of Steal the Show and Technical Masterclass on each of your shows. So those are the two to keep in mind there, and really not a lot of other things noteworthy here. If you're just looking at a company where you're not, you don't have to worry about any angle notes because you're probably not going to be doing many. And so it's really, again, just about the matches. Pretty simple in terms of the product, and like we said, no face-heel divide, none of that stuff. So not too much to look at from a product standpoint. Now, the TV and event schedule. Of course, you have no TV at this point, but you've got an interesting event schedule here, and I kind of like this one, even for a promotion. As we said, it's pretty small here, but they've got a nice little event schedule to start with, and it's a little bit different than just your regular, one event per month type situation. So you've got this. One thing that stands out immediately as you see is kind of the Summer Sizzler Tour in July and August. So, hey, you could have fun with a Summer Sizzler here and come up with, kind of a fun thing, perhaps maybe a theme of some sort, for day 1 through 6 here for the Summer Sizzler Tour. So, yeah, I mean, that's something that's different, than probably most promotions we've looked at, kind of on the independent side of things. So that's worth kind of looking at. Normal schedule otherwise, but what you do have in terms of like themes, if you look at the Championship Showdown here, it's kind of, you look at the AI instructions, which you can do on all of these companies. We haven't really done that a lot in this series, but I always forget to get to pull that up. But we talk about them in the the actual video themselves. But defend all titles. So you got Championship Showdown here. That's a thing where, okay, you're going to have all your titles on the line, right? Like I said, you've got the Summer Sizzler Tour, which you can kind of make your own. You've got the King of the North here, which I don't know if it pulls it up here, but it's a tournament, which we'll talk about with the titles in a second. So that's kind of another themed show. The Iron Man Challenge, you could do something with that, right? Like maybe that's just, I don't know, maybe just build around one big match for an Iron Man match or something, which you can't really do that. You got to have more than one, but you get my point. You can kind of come up with something different to do there. So I think this was actually, one of the perhaps interesting aspects of this company, and there may be not a lot in terms of starting stuff, but I like this idea of what we could do with a tour here, kind of in the summer, and also just having a couple of these different themes: the Championship Showdown, Tournament Show, King of the North. So there you go. You could do that. So that's your TV and event schedule. If we look at the titles, like I said, you start with the King of the North again every March. Just a tournament style there. Game of Thrones. Fight till the end. That is what it could be there for that one. Your championship, your main title here. So primary championship, the tag team championships, and you got the submission title, which, is unique because you're basically doing it in only submission matches. So every match contested under the stipulation where the winner only wins by making his opponent submit. So that's a different title. You could have some fun with perhaps on that. Look, I mean, this is, there's not a lot to look at with this company. Like I said, it's pretty much a blank slate, and to kind of push that, no relationships, you're not in any alliances, anything like that. You don't have any of this stuff in here in terms of child companies or developmental training. You don't have any of that because you're, a small company. There's no stables to look at. There's no storylines to look at. Look at the tag teams, I guess you could say. Go down here, you've got 5 starting tag teams. Big fan of Sharp and Heath here. I'm going to be honest with you. They're one of the most appealing aspects of the roster to me. And, I really like this group. Also like this group here of Tapin and Buzzard. You've got a couple tag teams with experience, but you got 5 teams to start with, and you can kind of make, what you want out of the tag team division. Oh, and you do have a tag team title there to work with. All right. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot to look at with this company, but that's why I keep kind of pushing. This is sort of the blank slate. If you want to start with a company, not have to create your own, just do the, kind of road from being basically at nothing, although you're not completely at nothing, but you're kind of there. Not a big roster. You can go down this thing, and there's just not a lot to really look at. One thing that really stands out, I guess we could do real quickly, the creative section. There's not a lot of star quality on this roster. I like my star quality, but this is a pure wrestling promotion, so you don't really have to worry about that. Curtis Jenkins, the founder of the company, he's your top star. And again, his popularity is not that big, but he is kind of, your top level guy in terms of popularity and all of that. But again, kind of what it's all about, kind of the matches and the wrestling skill and those kind of things. So 35 years old, one of the veterans on the roster. You've got Lenny here who, again, you're kind of just looking at the skills for these guys, and, technical skill, not bad here for someone like that, but popularity is just lacking for a lot of these wrestlers. Next big things, you got J.K. Lee, who is 26. Doesn't have a lot of star quality, but you can see kind of the range in terms of some of the skills. Technician, got that 65 to 73 range. So, a submission wrestler, that's most of your roster is probably guys like that. You got a group of hot prospects here, 19, 23, 29, 27. Again, you can kind of look at, what I always say, just look at the bios. That makes it more interesting. Some of these workers you may find more intriguing than others. Just when you look at it, there's some people that just maybe don't have exactly what you're looking for, but there are some that do. Again, nice little range here, 66 to 84 on the technical. And you'll see technicians right on this roster because that's the kind of style that this company works with. So, by the way, bring this up. Grant Tabin here, 29 years old. One of the worst star qualities in the game. But, hey, it's not about that. It's about working, and he is one half of the tag team champions right now. So, hey, if he can work, doesn't matter if he's a star. So, yeah, again, talk the talk. Jack's the only one that can talk the talk, but you don't have to worry about that because you don't have a lot of angles that you're going to be working with. It's not about mic skills in this company. Like I said, big fan of Heath and Sharp here. Sharp and Heath, whichever order you want to put them in. I think that's a fun tag team that you can kind of build some shows around and such. But, again, you've got some decent workers elsewhere. Ring generals, those two are on there, of course. You've got, Jenkins, as we said, probably the top guy right now. So you can use him, only 35 years old. But that physical style, that's something. But you can definitely use his popularity and such right now for sure. So, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to really look at with this company. It is one that, because it's ranked so low, you have limited finances. You have limited options in terms of, you're not looking to add 15 workers to the roster right off the bat. It's pretty much getting the most out of what you have to start with. And, that's where, as important as any other company maybe, is really going through the skills, kind of mapping out who can do what, and trying to get that best rating possible. Some of these we talked about, sure, it's all about kind of putting together the ratings, but at the same time, it's kind of building up storylines with different companies if you're using like sports entertainment and that kind of stuff. For this, it is really just trying to essentially survive, I think, with CWW. That's what it comes down to because, again, you don't have a lot of money. You're at basically the bottom, and it's just, can you start to make that climb up to the top? But that's a look at CWW. As we said, it's one that if you want a challenge, this is definitely one of the most challenging companies to start with. But again, it's kind of also easy to book because you're not booking a lot of angles. You're not doing that stuff. If you just want to kind of learn the ins and outs, try to figure out how to use what you have with a very limited amount of money. Hey, it's a nice starting point there. But if you're wanting something where you're just, have a bigger roster, booking angles, all this kind of stuff, a lot of money to work with, this is not the company for that. But yeah, could be interesting for players out there who want a bit of a challenge. I would say definitely put this one on the list. So there you go. That's a look at Championship Wrestling from Wigan. And again, be sure to check out all the other videos in the Exploring the CVerse series. Lots of stuff there if you want to look through all these companies in the CVerse. Only, 5 or 6 more to go, I think, in this series. So we will finish that up. And of course, there's a lot of other stuff on the channel. Check out the WWE, AEW, and TCW saves. Those are all actual booking saves you can check out. I know the WWE and AEW ones haven't had regular episodes for a couple weeks now, but kind of really been in a CVerse swing here, as you guys know, over the past little while. Really enjoying the TCW save. So if you want to check that out, we are moving towards our next pay-per-view in that one, the War to Settle the Score. So you can check that out on the channel as well. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate the feedback as always. Leave your feedback if you've played a CWW before. Always helps players out there looking for tips and tricks for playing as these companies. But again, appreciate you guys as always. And on the next episode of our Exploring the CVerse series, it will be SNP Scottish National Promotions.